Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started on blocking out the geometry. We don't want to worry about the details too much right now. Actually, we don't want to worry about details at all. What we want to do is start blocking this thing out. So I'll go up to the primitive menu, go to polygon mesh, grab myself a cube, which is going to be the best geometric primitive to start off with. So I'll take this cube here. I'm going to grab all of the vertices that make up the cube. Now I'm going to scale that down. Now you notice that my scale icon here, my scale manipulator, looks a little bit funny here in the camera view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click anywhere in empty space. That's going to bring up the little menu here that allows me to select between global, local mode, so on and so forth. I'm going to go with global mode, and I'm also going to go back and select COG. You can also do that from the MCP over here. See how you can switch from local to global. You can also turn on COG, which is, if you hover over it, a little tooltip pops up to let you know it's the center of geometry. So basically the center of whatever you have selected. In this case, all those vertices. So I'm going to go ahead and scale this in the x-axis. That's a little bit hard to tell here how far to scale it, so I'm going to scale it about this much. If I look at my front view over here, that looks pretty good. Very important to scale this right now uniformly, like this. The way that we're doing it, that's going to make our job a lot easier later. I'm going to go ahead and maximize this view here, and I'm going to take, well, these vertices on top look like they're positioned pretty good, so just try to match up the image as best as you can. Don't worry about being super precise. The image is not going to be perfect. I did prepare these images for this tutorial, but because they're images taken, with camera or whatnot, they're never going to be completely perfect. So I'm going to bring these about there. So basically, I'm blocking out this big area here and this front plastic panel here where all the buttons are and the CD tray and all that stuff. I'm kind of leaving that alone for the moment. So there we go. I got that pretty much blocked out. So if I go to shading mode here in my viewport, turn the grid off, this is what I should have, a pretty simple cube. I'm going to come up here and turn on the headlight mode just so it's easier to see. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to block out this front piece, this whole front panel. So the way I'm going to do that is actually pretty easy. I'm going to go to polygon selection mode and take the front polygon, and this should be the front polygon, yes it is. I'm going to hit Control and D on the keyboard to extrude. Then I'm going to pull out this extrusion, and in my right view over here, I'm going to pull it out till it reaches about right there in the image. But you notice that that polygon in the image, it kind of flares on the top and the bottom a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to achieve that same type of effect simply by scaling up just a bit. As long as it matches the image roughly, you're pretty much good. I'm going to take the same polygon, and we can see here in the front view that we need to scale it also to the sides to flare it out a little bit like this to match up with the image a lot better. In 3D, this polygon right now is completely flat, but if we look at our images, there's a little bit of rounding to it. Let me pull up a reference image to show you what I'm talking about. If I look at some of these reference images, it might be a little bit hard to tell, but there's a little bit of curvature on the front panel. So the front panel is not completely flat, and I want to try to imitate that in 3D when I model. So if I look at some of this, here you can tell there's a little bit of curvature right here. Some images it's a little bit easier to tell than others. The side image here lets us really see what I'm talking about. You can see up here in the top there's this sort of an arc to it. Not the back, but the front. Okay? So in order to achieve that effect, it's actually going to be a little simple. I'm going to take that edge up there, and I'm going to select this bottom edge here. And again, I'm working under the assumption that you already know how to switch between edge mode, polygon mode, point and vertex mode, and things like that. So I'm going to right click here, and in my context menu, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'll probably subdivide this evenly one time down the middle, and then I'll select that edge, and then what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to go ahead and pull it out just a little bit, and it'll make it not match up with the image, the reference image, but that's okay. The reference image is not perfect. There's some perspective distortion there from the camera, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. Now with this same edge selected, what I'm going to do is right click, and I'm going to bevel this. I'm going to increase the distance. I want to increase it by quite a bit. So let me try 3, let me try 4, and I'm going to go to the rounding tab over here of the Bevel Op PPG, and I'm going to give this a few bevels here. Let me look at this from the front view. 10 gives it a very nice soft curvature in the front, so you know what? Let's just go ahead and let's do 10. It looks good, right? So let's just keep 10. Alright, so I'm going to say that I'm finished with that for the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this video here, and in the next one we're going to go ahead and continue, and we're going to start chipping away and working on the front.